the non-quarterback transfer guys that you need to know about. And I guarantee you already know about some of these cats, but I want us to just sort of get circled up here together and talk about a few more. This is not an all-encompassing list. Might do this more than once depending on how y'all respond to it. But the quarterbacks, they get all the shine when it comes to the transfer portal, right? They're always the big names, and for good reason. You got a quarterback, you got a chance. That changes the outlook of your 2024 season. Just ask Ohio State, ask Miami, how they view their team right now and their roster right now with Cam Ward and Will Howard than they did before. It is what it is. But without further ado, man, let's get right to it. LSU, man, I think they might have gotten the most underrated transfer portal addition in wide receiver C.J. Daniels from Liberty. He is the reason why, if you're an LSU fan, you can still expect your offense to be potent. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, we know this, man. We got a ticket on the Nuss bus. We're going one way. We feel good about him. But Garrett Nussmeier, if you throw the ball 50 yards and there's nobody to catch it, that's a 50-yard incompletion. C.J. Daniels averaged 20 yards of reception last year at Liberty, a 1,000-yard receiver. You lose 2,500 yards in production from Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas gone to the league. I'm not saying C.J. Daniels going for over 2K. I'm not saying that, but I do think you feel a lot better having him on your roster in trying to replace that. Also, Kyron Lacey coming back. That was massive for the folks in Baton Rouge. C.J. Daniels, absolute stud, someone to know this upcoming season. A little bit off the radar last year, being at Liberty. He'll be on the radar this year in the SEC. Let's go to the other side of the ball now. Jabbar Muhammad was locked down at Washington the season ago. Absolutely locked down. Locked down a couple of times now against Oregon, which is his new home. He had 14 pass deflections last season. Getting his hand on the football a whole heck of a lot. He's going to mix it up too. I love the way he plays DB. He's not afraid to get his hands on you. He's not afraid to be physical. He'll play through the whistle. He was a top 15 player in the transfer portal for us here at On 3. For me, for Oregon, this is massive because you got to have a big-time corner, I believe, if you want to win at the highest level. I mean, for Michigan last year, it was Will Johnson. I mean, you had Mike Sanders still as well playing safety. Having elite secondary players is crucial because you're going to have to play potent offenses, especially in the postseason. Now, Oregon, they'll have to play potent offenses during the season as well. They got Ohio State coming to town October 12th. Not a non-conference game. That's going to be an interconference game. So seeing Jabbar Muhammad out there on Emeka Egbuka, Jabbar Muhammad out there on Jeremiah Smith to help sort of minimize the damage there, that's massive. Absolutely massive. One of the top players in the portal, one of the top players, obviously, that's a non-quarterback in the portal that we needed to make sure we were on the same page with there. We talked about LSU a second ago in terms of landing someone through the portal. Let's talk about someone they lost through the portal that's headed to Tennessee, and that is offensive tackle Zalance Hurd. Zalance Hurd, man, 2023 five-star cat. The massive thing to watch with him this spring is getting acclimated to how Tennessee runs their offense, because they ask a lot of that offensive line now. I mean, you go fast running the play every 20 to 30 seconds. They might even go more quickly with these new radio communications in the helmet. With him being on the offensive line and help ensuring what that unit's going to look like, that only raises the excitement for a one Nico Iamaleava. There's no way around it. Like, you expect big things from Nico, but you only expect big things from Nico if you're able to protect him. So Lance Hurd adding into that offensive line was huge, absolutely huge for Josh Heupel and company. Five-star guy. They don't grow on trees. We'll say that much. Now, this is someone that you already knew about, but I want to make sure we talk about it anyway, because you can't do a non-quarterback transfer portal segment and not mention the top player in the transfer portal. That was, of course, safety Caleb Downs. Was at Alabama. Nick Saban retires. He says, I came here for the GOAT, so if the GOAT's not here, I'm going to look elsewhere. Thought he was going to Georgia. Everybody thought he was going to Georgia, yours truly included. He of course, was not going to Georgia, ends up at Ohio State. He was the best player in the portal for a reason. He is extremely, extremely versatile. Was not afraid to come up and tackle last year for Alabama, led the team in tackles as a safety, also did a great job in pass coverage. You saw him start in the Rose Bowl with an interception that didn't end up counting, but you saw the ball skills there. The dude can play, also can help you in the punt return side of things. The big thing for me with Caleb Downs, outside of what he brings on the field, which is just straight up special, what he brings to that locker room, I think could end up being the most impactful part of this, because Caleb Downs is a thermostat. There's thermostat guys, there's thermometer guys. Thermometer guys, they sort of adapt to their environment, sort of adapt to the temperature of the room. Hey, if we're going 7 out of 10 on this drill out of an intensity standpoint, I'm going to go 7 out of 10 because everybody else is. Caleb Downs sets the temperature. He is a thermostat. He's going 12 out of 10 every single time on every drill, from what I've been able to glean from people talking about him. For a team like Ohio State, who is continuing to push and push and push to try and get over the hump and get back to where they expect to be, winning the Big Ten, winning national titles, they've got a ton of roster talent. But adding a thermostat guy like Caleb Downs in there, who's going to help bring that last 5% out of not just himself, but his teammates, and get them over to that place they want to be competitively, I think that could be the most important part of adding him to that defense. Because the defense is going to be solid. Whether they got Caleb Downs or not through the portal, they were going to be a top 10 unit by nature of who they bring back. Heck, top 5 unit for some folks in Columbus. But I'm curious to watch how he impacts the overall feel in that room, in that team room for Ohio State. Last guy to get to here, from Texas A&M to Alabama now, LT Overton. This is a dude now who was a 5-star cat in 2022, a 5-star plus individual, mind you, meaning every single service in the country believed he was a 5-star player. That means something. Alabama lost a lot on defense. They bring back like 33% of that production. For Kalen DeBoer to be successful in Tuscaloosa, I think a lot of that will hinge on them upholding the standard defensively there and the talent level there. That's going to be massive because in the SEC, man, like you have to be multiple. Have to be multiple in terms of playing good offensively and good defensively. Playing well offensively and playing well defensively at a high level. That's what they expect, especially in Tuscaloosa, which is, built to win championships at the SEC level and the national level. Having guys like LT Overton, I don't know if that's like the fix right away, but having a big body like him, right around, I think he's at 6'5", 265 is what he's listed at on A&M's roster. He's a stud. He's a stud, and he's going to be a part of upholding that defensive line tradition they've had over there for the better part of the last 17 years. Hat tip to Nick Saban. So a lot of guys to know. Might be something we keep doing depending on how y'all respond to that. But those are some transfer portal guys that do not play quarterback that will have a massive impact on their title races and the college football playoff this 2024 season. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.